Well, hello again, everyone. This is Ted Schmidt from Action Coach Northwest. And this is another edition of our Business Spotlight podcast. And today our guest is Daniel Silva, the CEO of Monode Bio. So welcome, Daniel. Thanks for being on our podcast today.
Hi, Ted. Thank you very much for the invitation.
All right. So we're going to jump right into the questions. Everybody wants to hear your thoughts. And question number one, if you had to start from square one in business, what would you do differently?
Right, right. So, Ted, if you don't mind, maybe I can tell you a little bit of how I got to Monod and to what we are doing here, and then I answer the question the
Yeah,
best I
no,
can.
that's great. I should have had you do that first, so I apologize. Go ahead. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about you and your company?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let me tell you. I'm initially like I started as a scientist. I in fact studied in Mexico, everything like my undergrad, master, PhD. I have a PhD in biochemistry. And back in 2004, this was a long time ago, this professor from the University of Washington, David Baker, came to give a talk. And I went to this talk. I had some connections to the people that was inviting him there. And I just was, wow, like this is what I want to do in my life. I mean, if I'm going to be a scientist, this is it. And that it was computational protein design. And I decided I wanted to come and work with David Baker and learn to do that. So I did. Eventually, I ended coming to Seattle to do a postdoc at the University of Washington, and still on the idea that I was going to become an academic, a professor, etc. Like many people in there, and we did a lot of exciting things. Like this computational protein design is super exciting. It's very powerful. It's very new too. And probably you're thinking like, well, I mean, 2004 to now is more than 20 years. But yeah, I mean, science moves a little bit slow. But I think that there is so much potential. And the way that I will put this is like, it's pretty much like alchemy, chemistry, and then like design compounds. It's like, well, in the past we didn't know how it worked, then we understood how it worked, but we couldn't manipulate it. But then we learned enough that we were able to manipulate it. Well, that's the same thing for proteins. We have known for a very long time what they do and not exactly how they work. But this is the first time in history of humanity that we have the power to use computers to design them to do the things that we want them to do. And that's pretty much everything.
Wow.
So I ended in a program in the university where basically, at the time, this was back in 2018, they were telling people, well, if you have created something that people think is valuable and there is a potential enterprise to create around this and to bring it to the world, who better than the people who invented this to actually try to do that? And I got count on that. I think they call it something like the translational program at the Institute for Protein Design. And I thought I'm going to do this for a little bit and we'll see how it goes. And we ended putting the first computationally designed protein into the clinic in my previous company. And that was a lot of fun. Like I just got hooked on that. I guess that was in 2018. And so I decided to do it again. So when I gained a little bit more of experience, and now I'm going to answer the question that you asked me in the beginning,
No, no
I
worries.
just I just started again, right? But this time in a different area. So what I did before was what is called therapeutics, and this time this was just after COVID. We have an intense interest to go and try to do it for diagnostics. And I want you to imagine the industry, the biotech industry, as a pyramid. So everything depends on what is called the research use only and tools industry. So those are companies that sell you things to be able to do research. Then the diagnostics sit on top of that. So it uses the same kind of materials, etc. But now you have to use regulators, FDA, make clinical trials, etc., to create a product. And then on top of that is what you call the therapeutic industry, the one that is building medicines to cure disease. And it's again using exactly the same things, but has different requirements. No, this time it has to be safe for humans, it has to have an effect, it has to cure people,
Hmm.
etc. So I already did this one and was fun, but this is very capital intensive and it's very slow. It takes years to bring a drug to the clinic. No, what is really appealing about going to the diagnostics and research use only industry is that the iteration cycles are much faster. So no, this is more similar to what you are doing with software, etc., where you can, you can bring something, then you can iterate on it before it becomes like, the final product. And if it works in your testing scenario, very likely it's going to work in the real world. So I thought that was hugely appealing for technology like the one that we had. And to answer your question now, the thing that I will do differently, and I keep learning this lesson over and over, is that I have no experience doing it. I mean, it's great to start something new and it's very exciting, but I have never done it. And what I would do differently if I could start over is that there is always, I keep finding this. If you look at your ecosystem and you look around you, there is always a lot of people who has not exact same experience, but a lot of experience, at least in the industry, in similar scenarios. And I know as a founder, sometimes you're really proud of opening your company and this is your thing and you're going to figure it out.
Mhm.
But I have found that getting advice and surrounding you with people who has experience is hugely beneficial. So what I would do if I could do this again is surround me with more experts, more people who has done it before, who I'm following advice. So instead of going slower because you make mistakes and you need to repeat or iterate, etc., then you can leapfrog and just go directly to solve the problems.
Yeah. Wow, that's it. Oh, that's perfect because that's exactly why people hire business coaches. Exactly that. It's the same thing. They
Yeah.
hire an expert because they haven't done it before. I sorry. That's okay. All right. Next question. What have your biggest learnings been as an employer since you began in business?
Yeah. There is a couple of things. The biggest one is that there is a lot of talent around, but you need to be very careful to hire the right person, and that's a complicated one because the right person is not always the smartest or the one that works like 9 to 9. Which I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I'm just saying that there's people that works like that, or it's not the person that has every one quality that you may love an employee to have, but
Mhm.
it's a very specific phenotype that fits your company, and every company is different. I say that probably as an employer, we have hired people that probably will do great in a different environment than the one that we have in a startup, but they don't do that great in your particular company. So what I have found is that uh, even if we are surrounded of so much talent, being very mindful and careful and trying to make very careful decisions about who you bring to your company is super important, because otherwise you end in the situation where you bring somebody who doesn't perform good, and that's not good for anybody. It's not good for your company, it's not good for them, and it slows things down, decreases the morale, etc. So I have found that it seems easy. In principle, it should be like, I mean, we are experts, we know what we are doing, we are hiring people. This is a buyer's market if you think about it. I mean, I get hundreds of applications every time that we put a position. It's extremely hard to hire the correct person for a position, and you need to be ultra mindful of it because it has a real impact on your enterprise.
Yeah, wow, exactly. Yeah. They got to fit into the culture, right? And everything and get along with everybody and all that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
multi. Yeah. It's multiple aspects, and every company is different, so I cannot generalize, right?
Yeah. Yeah, sure it is. Okay. All right. What are some common misconceptions about running a business and how do you address them?
There are so many. You know, um, a common misconception about running a business is that it's all glamour. Like you are the CEO of a company, so obviously you have the most exciting and hottest job in the world. In reality, it's actually probably all the opposite. I mean, when you are in charge of a business, basically you are responsible for everything that goes wrong. Like
Yeah.
very, very infrequently, anybody is going to give you praise for the things that you did right because you are supposed by definition to do things right, not to do things wrong. So
Right.
you don't get any bonus points for executing on your mission, and that is fine. That's how it should be. Um, it is it is definitely not glamour in the sense that you hire people. No, these people depends on you. Your investors depend on you. So it's a ton of responsibility. So yeah, I wish everything was like going to dinners and talking to interesting people, etc. But it also is a lot of sleepless nights. Like I go to wake up and it's like, what am I even thinking about this? What is
Yeah.
the reality? And it requires a lot of conviction and many times you are the bad guy just by definition because people is looking at you and it's like, why is this guy like making that decision if I think we should do it differently? Well, I mean, like somebody has to make decisions because otherwise business get frozen. I have seen that in the past. And I think I give you like five different misconceptions. I believe it's a hard job.
It is a hard job. It's hard work, and people don't seem to they don't realize how hard it is to own a business. So yeah, absolutely. What do you attribute your growth to?
Well, like I mean, there's always three components, and one of them is luck, no question. I mean, like you always need to kind of time things right, and you don't have very much control on that. But I think that's the lesser. I think that the two other things that are probably the most important is that um, I think we are doing things that are really important and have true potential. So the technologies we're bringing are real game changers for the industry. So that by definition has to have great value and create growth. The caveat there, and that's the other reason I think we are successful and we are being successful, is that it requires a lot of commitment and conviction to make it work. Nothing works out the box. Nothing. I mean, I'm shocked. Like if something works out the box, I usually think that the next week something is not going to work, and it's going to take a very long period of time to figure out why it's not working. So
Hmm.
it does require a lot of conviction and leadership to keep things moving forward versus start running in circles, etc. So and again, I go back to a little bit to what I told you about experts. I'm fortunate enough that this is not my first iteration, so I have surrounded myself from very talented people,
Hmm.
and that makes your day. I mean, like that's
Yeah.
it. I depend on all these people to be successful. So that's a third, probably that's a secret ingredient. I have people I can depend on to execute on a daily basis for the business.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I had a mentor of mine many years ago once tell me surround yourself with people that are smarter than you in certain
Oh,
areas.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. How do you balance your personal life with the demands of running a business?
Yeah, yeah. So, like, I need a coach like you to teach me how to do that still. Um, I'm not great at it yet. Let me tell you a little bit about my family, so we can give context to it. I'm married, a great wife. I have a daughter. She's 7 years old. Amazing daughter. I would say they are very accommodating with me in the sense that they understand I have to go to meetings, I have to sometimes stay late to work, etc. So the way I try to balance it is I try to think about them when I'm not there. And I try to be as most as possible. So, in the past, I guess I will say like yeah, I mean, I can travel 360 days of the year, and I'd be happy to be in every dinner and in every meeting. I try to be very selective. I go only to things that I believe are going to make a difference for the company now. Otherwise, I think there is other people in the company that can go there, and if nobody can go there, probably means that it's not that important for us.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah,
delegate. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
I get it. Totally. Okay. That's a tough question. That really is a tough question. Everybody kind of struggles with that, how to balance it, and all that. So,
yeah.
what
Okay.
qual?
No, let me just tell you a
Yeah.
funny part of that. Like that's a
Yeah.
contrary example to that one. So when I was done with my previous company, for a time I was like I don't know how you call it, but semi-retired or something like that. And that lasted about a year until my wife came and told me like, "Hey, Daniel, I think it's time for you to go and find something to do." So
Yeah.
I guess like that's the other way to balance your life, right? If you spend too much time at home, it's probably also not good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. What qualities do you look for in employees, and how do you foster a positive and productive work environment? You've already kind of addressed that a little bit, but do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, it depends on the stage of the company. But the current stage of the company, I try to find people who is really hardworking, and that has changed a lot after COVID. I don't want to sound like to focus on like you have to be in the office every day, but we do prefer people to be around because it's an easier way to collaborate and to
Hmm.
try to solve problems together as a team. And so we tend to try to find people who is comfortable with that. So that usually means that it's people that is local. And we want a certain degree of independence on our employees generally. So we want them to be problem solvers, to be fast and nimble. And I'm telling you all these things because I think that there is different industries, like much larger corporations, where probably these set of skills are not that relevant. There is other places where not being too fast, being like just like loving to do the same job over and over, and not having responsibilities is the right environment. That's fine. That's not okay in a startup like us because our priorities change by hourly basis, if you want to say it in certain way. So we try to find people who can be comfortable with not very structured environment where things can change very quickly.
So they have to be able to adapt and change and all that and be nimble,
Yeah,
you said. Yeah, right,
be
right.
nimble, yeah, yeah. I know. Also, in the end of the day, the people making the final decisions on things is always like, the leaders of the company. So the employees also have to be fine with the idea that even if they are giving excellent points and want to do things in a way, if we decide to do differently, that's fine. We can agree to disagree, and that is fine. And I think that's very specific to certain industries. Maybe in every kind of job that you perform, there is never like 100% agreement. But in a company that needs to move fast and somebody's making the decisions, you need to be very comfortable with that.
Yeah, got to be comfortable. Okay. Oh, wow, we're sailing along. Only two more questions. Okay. So, what question should I be asking you that I haven't?
Yeah, maybe the question that you should be asking me regarding business is how hard is to open a startup, a biotech startup in particular, because that's my experience. And why would you do it here in Washington versus like in Boston or in the Silicon Valley?
Yeah.
And are you going to answer the question, or am I supposed to answer my own question?
You can answer your own question. How's that?
Okay, but I want to hear your take. No, look, I think that there is a misconception. That's a different misconception about opening startups. It's like a really fun thing, and it's like almost like the going to work to a really cool company, like the big techs in the past. It's really, I mean, it's fun and it can be very rewarding, but it's very, 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 very hard work. But I do believe in the ecosystem, and that answers the question about why to do it here in Washington. So for me, to be around here where like a computational protein design was born, grew, and where the talent has grown, is invaluable because we actually get to be in that community. And of course, it will be easy to just go to a place where the biotech community is already established and there's more investors and everybody's doing the same and it's cheap and easy to rent labs, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm.
But when you do that, you're not building that. And I do believe on the potential that we have here to build that. So I think that's an excellent reason to stay here and to help build the ecosystem. Because the beauty about it is that once you do it, it just kind of feedbacks to itself, and it makes it easier and better for the business to come. So I think there is every reason to do that here in Washington.
Okay. All right. Got it. Okay. Last question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And any words of advice for other business owners who are looking to grow their business?
Yeah. Oh, I see myself hopefully doing quite potentially a different iteration of another biotech company or this biotech company and another biotech company. Uh, I believe there is a value on reusing what you have learned in your previous experiences and helping other people to, as we like this is a complete loop to help other people to do that successfully.
Hmm.
Um, I do believe that probably your roles become evolving or continue evolving. So in the past, I was the head of research. Now I'm the CEO of a company. I probably will do it again. And of course, maybe I'll become more of a person that helps other people to have a successful life in biotech. So yeah, hopefully that's where we are in 5 years, and hopefully traveling with my daughter and teaching her a lot of things because she's going to be 12.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Any advice for other business owners that want to grow? If you had some words of
Yeah, yeah,
wisdom.
yeah. I think that um, I do not agree with the idea of just growing because you need to grow. Uh, there was very powerful lessons back in during COVID where a number of companies were able to get a lot of capital. This is just an example, right? For the what I would call the incorrect reasons, and I call it the incorrect reasons because when you get a ton of capital but you don't have a growth plan, that's only not beneficial in the future, and we have seen the downside of that. So my personal advice is that growth comes as a consequence of a company being successful in their plan to execute their mission. So you should only grow commercially to that. Never grow more than that. There is actually a beauty to keep your company as small as possible. Is more capital efficient, is better for your investors. It implies a lot of the good things, and it makes you try to be as efficient as possible. So if you are executing in your mission, you should know how much you need to grow, and the resources will materialize by themselves. There is no question because every investor and wants to see growth, and they will believe on those enterprises. If you are selling products, you are going to see the revenues out of that, so you will have the capital to grow. But if you just want to grow because you want to have a gigantic company, terrible idea.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, small can be better. Smaller can be better. Absolutely. Yeah, I
I
like
believe
that.
so. I believe so.
Yeah. Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you, Daniel Silva, CEO of Monode Bio, for being our guest today. Great job. I took lots of notes. I don't know if you saw me writing down here and stuff. So thank you very much for being our guest today. And have a great day, everybody. And I'm sure we all learned a lot today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. I really appreciate the conversation.
All right.